Before we get started tonight, ladies, last break here on IE Sports Radio, I want to introduce y'all to a couple of our sponsors. First, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on the quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Wherever you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, gives semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get a chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media at Twitter at SoCal Warriors. You can find them on Instagram, Southern California _Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994. And he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make that hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crimes such as identity theft and any other illegal activity. You can find them on social media at Facebook at Background Check International, BCI, and on their website, bcint.com. Now to the show. Well, after taking a week off for Easter, we're back live this week discussing all things NBA playoffs. Can the Bulls make it a series against the Bucks? Or will Giannis and crew take care of them come Tuesday? We'll discuss the breaking news of Ben Simmons, who we thought might play in Game 4, would not play in Game 4. We discussed that, and if the Nets can squeak out a win tomorrow evening. Plus, we go over today's action: Bulls, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, and much more here on Fast Break Live on IE Sports Radio. You're the referee for the ISR Sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be back up here after taking last week off for Easter. It's good to be back in the fold. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been exciting. It was a great NBA season. We're coming out with a lot of awards. Now I think he's sitting in a couple of them. I think most recent was Scotty Barnes getting Rookie of the Year. We had a hell of an NBA season, and we're having a hell of a postseason, right? Playoffs right now with, some shocking results so far.
Yeah, lots of shocking results. Lots of good action going on. Some tough playoff basketball. The intensity has been driven up here, especially today. We'll go over today's action real quick, D-Lock, because we got a lot to discuss on this program tonight. First, the Bulls and the Bucks. Is it me, D-Lock, or the Bulls just kind of have felt lifeless since after the All-Star break?
It wasn't a bad start that they had. They had high expectations for moving forward. I think we talked about it during the preview. And they were playing exceptionally well, shocking a lot of people. but it's like they lost that sense of rotation, chemistry a little bit. The person that has been playing great, who was in the MVP, who's been playing on the MVP level, is DeMar DeRozan. But it just seems like, it seemed like it's like they turned into, or they're turning into. I mean, they're not out yet, but they're turning to what I fear they may have turned into, and that is a good, regular season team. We see that every year in all sports. A team that's very good during the regular season, but can't do the same thing during the postseason. So hopefully that's not the case, but it seems like they do. Like you said, they seem a little off a little bit. Now, they did have one good game, I believe, this past so far in this series. That did save the series for one moment. Also, Chris Middleton going down, I believe, was it an MCL strain or something like that?
Yes.
It gave I thought that the Bulls were going to have a better chance after that injury. But, Milwaukee still has Giannis. They still got Drew Holiday. Grayson Allen came out firing that next game. So, the other guys came and stepped up. Now, DeRozan has had his games here and there, but it just seems as if you need more from Vooch. Patrick Williams had one solid game. And they're probably really missing Lonzo. Much as, we don't say it too much. Caruso has played pretty decent, but if you look at the stats, he's more so doing more on the defensive side, not on the offensive side. They're lacking that extra shooter that they need. Zach LaVine could play a hell of a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems as if Milwaukee is bringing it to them. Now, like I said, they did get a game earlier in the series. But there's a good chance that this series is going to end soon. So, if you think about it, you haven't seen too much, even though you don't expect too much, but Tristan Thompson hasn't really done anything off the bench. Kobe White has had his games, but not as consistent. So, I really think they're missing the big three that they started out with, and that was Lonzo. The guy that they had. I think they're missing having Lonzo, Zach LaVine, and DeRozan and Vooch on the court at the same time. I think that's playing a huge part for them now. And they coming up against, the returning NBA champs. So it's going to be a tough road for them, but they're going to have to get things together. Honestly, I think we're going to have to see Zach LaVine take over, play a hell of a lot better, because DeRozan can't do it by himself.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And maybe, Adam can ask this question for me in the chat. I don't know if Milwaukee will fly down to Chicago or they just take a bus with the cities being like an hour and a half away or hour 45, whatever, depending on traffic. But you're not too far from each other. It's a quick turnaround in this series in terms of logistics. So I kind of look at that part saying, like, okay, there's no big travel here. You're not too far from each other. I don't know what's going on. Like you mentioned, like Giannis. Yeah, they got Giannis. But I figured with Middleton going down, because he wasn't playing his best in the first couple of games. He was okay, but it wasn't, Middleton, like the Middleton we've seen before. I figured when he went down, it'll put a lot more scoring pressure on Giannis and Holiday. But to the Bucks' credit, Grayson Allen, especially today, really, really, really showed up. 6 for 7 from the 3-point line, 27 points off the bench. That was huge for them. I mean, huge. Wide open looks, D-Lock, at that. Because Giannis was killing them inside the paint. Like driving, getting inside the paint, he was getting what he wanted. And even with the triple team down the paint, Chicago couldn't do nothing. And he would just kick it out. And lucky for them, Grayson Allen was hot. Drew Holiday had a good scoring day as well. Bobby Portis, 14 points. Shooting 51% for the 3-point line, D-Lock, you're going to win most of your games. And, for the Bulls side of things, especially in this game, Caruso going out with an injury, that didn't help matters. Vooch, I don't know, man. He sounded like those guys we hear about, like, put some good stats on a bad team. Now, granted, in his time in Orlando, they did go to the playoffs, but you can speak as a Magic fan. They ain't really saying much if you just squeaking out an A seed to only to go down 5 or 6 games. And then I would say this for Patrick Williams. If you're wide open for a shot, young man, take the shot. Have confidence in your shot. All right? Granted, yeah, you had 20 points, 10 rebounds. But I think you could have had a little bit more production offensively if you took the wide open looks that were given to you. So if you're Patrick Williams, I think maybe more of a confidence thing. Maybe trying to, get DeRozan and Levine and Vooch involved. But if you're open, dude, you got to take those shots.
Yeah, at this point, and it's about also the consistency of these other players. Like, they have to shoot better.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing, too, is not only that, because it seems like right now, one thing that Milwaukee did was they shared up the shooters and they got some big.
Mm-hmm.
They got Grayson Allen and they went and traded for Serge Ibaka. So even though we haven't seen Serge Ibaka yet, but if they need some more defenders, they have that. So they're sure they have everything that they need. But what happens is for Chicago to have any type of chance, they're gonna have to come with it. I mean, you're gonna have to bring your best game. And we're talking about the NBA champs, right? You're gonna have to bring that A game. So on a consistent basis. So for me, today just seemed like it kind of got out of hand early, and it just slipped out. It was just done with after that. Now DeRozan couldn't buy a basket today. Couldn't make a 3-pointer to save his life. So for me, if one of your biggest name players doesn't have it going, there's a chance that you need other players like Levine. Levine can't go 8 for 18. You know what I'm saying? That, like, you can't do that and have DeRozan come back with an 8 for 20. So, if so, that's just something that cannot be done.
Yeah, that can be done. And Adam said in the chat, he says, a very easy travel for both fan bases. 90 minutes, drive time, you're there, don't even have a hotel. Okay, not bad. I don't know how the traffic is in Chicago, so but hey, if you can close out this series, you be back in your home by 11 o'clock, D-Lock.
Yeah, that's the thing. This series is I thought it was I guess not a too bad of a matchup, but that's me expecting DeRozan to bring it and Zach LaVine. But you got to shoot better, man. It's just straight up and down. They have to shoot a hell of a lot better. Milwaukee took away with that second quarter, which made a difference. They put up 31 points and the Bulls have a 19. That's all it took to separate everything else. So, for me, you got Levine would, putting up north of 20 points, but that field goal percentage is terrible, and they can't have that because they did this without Chris Middleton.
Yes, they sure did. Before we go to the Golden State and Denver game, LaVine's up for like a max contract this offseason. The way he's been playing and the time he's missed, do you think he get a max deal? And especially the way he's looking this series ain't like the best. You still think he get a max deal from the Bulls?
That question is a great question. I think they should. And the reason why is because when was the last time we seen Chicago this relevant? Last time they had, Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose and Tibbs was there?
Well, maybe Dwayne Wade when he was there for a hot second.
Well, a little bit, yeah. But I feel like this group that they have is, you probably can work with this group, but I think if you let LaVine walk, now there's other guys that you can bring in, but it's about the chemistry part. You're already in the East. You had a pretty decent season. I feel like to be consistent moving forward, that is probably a bullet they're gonna have to bite. Because if you let them walk, now you got to find somebody else. You just got DeRozan there, Boch is there, the chemistry started to get right. Lonzo Ball was hurt. Like, you're gonna have to figure out. You're gonna have to make a decision. So, for me, I know that's a tough thing to do, but it might have to be the right thing because right now what happens is you're gonna have LaVine go to like a totally different team, and he's not gonna look like the same guy clearly, but I feel like what they have is something that they can build moving forward, but they have to take the chance of keeping him there. But that may mean giving a max deal. So that question. I mean, like I said, you have a team like the Magic, give him a max deal if you let him walk.
Oh, they do it.
Yeah. And they giving out money like it grown trees. So, for me, I wouldn't want to say, you know what, gotta give me a back deal. But to keep the group that you have, I mean, I think Milwaukee's going to be around for a while, Miami. I don't think this is where you kind of want to break up what you're trying to build. So, like I told you earlier, and we'll talk about it. You got Chris Middleton go down. Devin Booker went down. Like, you never know what happens in the season. I mean, the Lakers are not in the playoffs, and we had high expectations for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say, I wouldn't be a big fan of giving him the max deal, but I would take that risk because of the group that they have right now. And if they can get on the same page and the season comes along, then they might make a big run in the future. So I wouldn't want to just let a huge piece like that walk out the door.
Yeah, I think, we'll see how it goes. Like you mentioned, I think they might do it anyways to just kind of keep a cohesion somewhere. So we'll see. Adam says, I like the team too, but the Bulls need to improve. Can't keep everybody and just assume it'll get better. You're right. Definitely right. But I think before trying to move on real quickly, this draft coming up got a good mix of a little bit of everything. Big men that can score down low. Some guys that defend the paint. A glut of wing players, guards that can shoot, score, run the floor, can fly up and down and stuff like that. Big combo forwards that can, dribble, drive, shoot. So we'll see, how things shake out in the draft and see if the Bulls can improve through that way instead of maybe looking at the free agency pool.
Yeah.
But the game of the day so far has been the Nuggets and the Warriors. Nuggets winning today by 5 points, 126-121. D-Lock, what are your thoughts about this game? Because the Nuggets got a good lead, but you kind of waited for the Golden State run to happen. Then it happened, but look, credit to the Nuggets. They didn't wet the bed, and they stayed off in elimination. What were your thoughts about this afternoon's game between these two squads?
To be honest with you, I think the Nuggets they stole one. They got kind of lucky, to be honest with you. Because I know you seen that dagger that Steph hit at 3-pointer when Draymond was fouled out.
Yeah,
I thought it was over with after that. But they battled back. Having Jokic, I mean, he's not gonna let a team get swept. And to be honest with you, even with that, you think about it. I think you messaged me earlier and was like, Will Barton is having one of them games, which is very rare of him. When he has one, when he has a good game, that's hard to find. But he had one of those games to where it's just like he was not clicking. So for me, it's like Jokic had to take over, which is what we known of. But Aaron Gordon had to step up. They had other guys that had to come in and make, a couple moves. So for me, it was Bones Highland that was clicking at the end too. He made like 2 or 3 threes at the end. Yeah. So, for me, I feel like they snubbed this one, but that ain't happening in Golden State. That's just not happening. I think the fact, and also they got a little bit of luck too with Draymond getting foul trouble. Because if Draymond doesn't foul out, I don't see them winning this game. So they definitely got this one. But the thing is, it had to happen with their backs against the wall. And this started with Aaron Gordon and Draymond getting into it early in the game. So you knew now they're trying to be physical. And I thought they had the game, but then I see Clay starting to click. And then Steph came and started to click. Like, you really thought this game was over, but the presence that Golden State missed at the end was a defensive presence. And that's because Draymond was fouled out. So if that don't happen, we talk about a sweep. But now we're probably talking about a legitimate sweep now. So, Jokic had to do what Jokic did, but this is going to be short-lived. So it was a good game. At the end, like I clearly, when I seen Steph make that shot, that 3-pointer, I literally thought the game was over. I was like, man, it's done for right here. It done took, you could hear literally the stadium just be like quiet after he made that. And Draymond was chirping, like he was chirping over there. So I just was like, yeah, this game about over. But they found a way to get, to sneak it out. So, but that happened in Golden State? No way.
I thought for Denver, the guard play was very key. Monte Morris, Bones Highland. You got 39 points out of those two guys. That was very key for them for winning that game. Because throughout the course of the season, you got so-so performances from these guys. Highland, he'll have a great game here and there, but the consistency ain't there yet. He's a rookie, so it's not there yet. Morris is there once in a while. Rivers, he played 36 minutes and only 3 points. That's got to be better production out of him. Campazzo, ever since he got suspended for hitting Wayne Ellington about a couple weeks ago, he ain't seen the court too much. But, Mr. Stealing Money, Aaron Gordon, 21 points. played pretty well today. Bringing up the ball, setting things up. I think kind of found some courage in himself when he got into tussles with Jordan Poole and Draymond. But I give credit to the Nuggets. Even with Steph hitting that 3-pointer, you think, Golden State was going to take it away from them. They stayed with it. They didn't let their guard down. They stuck with it, and they won this game. Credit to them. But, giving credit to them winning this game, I'm damn sure don't see them winning Game 5. Let's be real.
Nah, they ain't finna. They not in the bubble, and they're not finna be going on these coming back, 3-1 and all that kind of stuff. That's not gonna happen. They got to go to Golden State and deal with that crowd. I don't see it. I mean, it can happen, but I don't see it.
I mean, you got 33 points out of Curry, 32 out of Clay. And most of the times, if those two dudes are scoring 30 plus like that, that's ball game.
That's what I'm saying. They got lucky on this one.
But I think, Jordan Poole, he only had like 11 points. And I think he may have hurt his wrist, so that may play a factor into things. But Draymond found out don't help things. I don't know what Steve Kerr was, thinking with the Andrew Wiggins play. I don't know what the mindset was there. If Klay Thompson was hot, Curry was hot, why not go through the offense through them? I don't understand that thinking there. But I think you get back in Golden State. I think they take Game 5. I think Jordan Poole, he'll probably shoot the ball better. Curry, do what he does. And Klay Thompson, he'll do what he does. And I think, Draymond, if he don't foul out, I think they'll close it out in San Francisco.
I'm thinking the same thing. For me, my thing is when the Splash Brothers got it going, it's gonna get crazy. And even if they don't, they got another guy that named Jordan Poole who can go out there and get some buckets too. So, it was a good game to keep the series going. But my thing is, this is a question I will always have. Why does it take for a team to literally get down 0-3 to bring their best? Why we can't see the same type of energy or similar energy Game 1, Game 2, Game 3?
Man, that's like
that's the question that I have. That's confusing to me sometimes, man.
Man, that's always been like that sports question. You see in basketball, baseball, hockey, some reason or another, these teams get down and they just muster up some courage and try to win games back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. That question will probably never be asked.
Exactly. We've seen it in Toronto and Philly. Like, they wanted to play totally, it's like they tried everything, and next thing you know, you got Thad Young out there going crazy. So, for me, I just try to figure out what is making these teams. And I don't think they're just waiting for the last moment. It's just that now it's a do or die. But if you treat it as if it's a do or die early, a bigger effort, we should see at least close results or see something. But all in all, I think that, they gave their all. They did what they did. But yeah, it's going to end. It's going to end next week.
Yeah, I think it's going to end Tuesday. So I think we're both in the same boat there. Before we get to the Nets, D-Lock, we're at halftime in Atlanta, the city that you are currently living at the moment. The Heat are up 55-41. Jimmy Butler, 19 points so far. Bam Adebayo, 9 points, 5 rebounds. PJ Tucker, 10 points, 8 rebounds so far. So big first half for him.
Oh
And,
my gosh.
and then on the other side for Atlanta, Clint Capella's back, but he only has 2 points so far. Trae Young, who really hasn't shot the ball well in this series, only has 6 points. And Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovic combined have 1 point altogether. Atlanta's not coming back from this, are they? Stick a fork in them.
Boy, I want to say that. Trae Young is at home though, man. I mean, this dude, like, he can catch fire, but they're down. You know, Jimmy, that defense is probably they're gonna come with it. The fact that you got PJ Tucker out there eating like that tells you that this game probably done for real. Like, that man standing at the side of that corner, that 3-pointer, just waiting for Jimmy Buckets or Tyler Hero to go ahead and dish the ball. And 2 for 3 right now. You know he's going to bring defensive presence. Bro, I have been waiting for Bam to wake up this whole series. So, he hasn't even woken up to where I believe he can. But yeah, this is probably done. This game 4, so they're going to go to Miami. I think that Miami will close it out in Miami.
Yeah, I think it's done too. Like Bogdanovic and Huerter play very well in game 3. And then you turn around and these guys are shooting 0 for 6 from the 3-point land, having 1 point between the both of them. That's not helping things. And only person doing something with the crap is DeAndre Hunter.
Yep.
And if y'all been listening to this show, I've been high on DeAndre Hunter. As long as he stays healthy, he's got two-way potential in this league. But it's just kind of surprising to me, D-Lock, that this Hawks team that really didn't lose nobody, they kept all the same pieces. One person that really gone is Cam Reddish, who they traded away during the season. And you're in the position where you are right now. It's just mind-boggling to me that this team went to the Eastern Conference Finals, took the Milwaukee Bucks to 6 games. Trae Young became more and more one of the faces of the NBA. And now this team came from a playing game to playing the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they struggling like this. Everybody's struggling like this. Trae Young struggling. Capella, hurt. John Collins, hurt. Bogdanovic. We kind of question his play during the year.
Well, my thing is, they're not there. I mean, if you look at the stats, that's like something that they've been showing all year long. And this wasn't an issue last year as much. Now, I think we talked about it. I was saying that I felt as if the Hawks need to make a big trade for another shooter. Because, I mean, if you think about it, you got really one consistent shooter on this team. And when he's off, everybody else is off. So, I mean, you got Bogdanovic 0 for 3, 0 for 2 for 3-point land, Herter 0 for 5, 0 for 4. Like, you can't do anything with that. But the leader, 2 for 7, 2 for 6, and Trae Young, like, that's hurting. Now, you know, DeAndre Hunter is having the game right now. But for one, another thing, I felt like Capella was brushed back.
Yeah.
That's just me. I feel like he was rushed back. I don't think he's fully healthy at this moment. But at this point, you know, they're about to start the third quarter. They're running into a team that's ready to go. Not to mention, Kyle Lowry is not even playing. So for Trae Young to have this type of game, and there is no Kyle Lowry, that's mind-blowing. But, you know, for them to be going into the play-in game, that tell you what kind of season that they had. So, but then again, you never know with this team. But this game might be one that might be done if they can, unless get they can catch fire from 3-point land, which they're gonna keep shooting threes because this is what this team is, you know, gonna build around. Now the biggest question is, do they fire their coach, which I don't think they will, but dude, you just never know. Like, they might keep McMillan, but for me, when you make a drastic drop like that, somebody has to take the blame for it.
I don't think they fired him because they just gave him that contract extension. But I think they probably will tell him, like, hey, we got everybody in the fold. You got to do better next season. Unless, they do some trades and stuff like that. But if they keep everybody around again, then, yeah, you got to put that expectation on him to be better with this group of guys. But, one thing, before we get to the Nets, one thing I always applaud about Miami the past few years, finding guys in the undrafted market that can come in and be contributors for your team. We've seen that with Gabe Vincent. We've seen that with Strauss. Duncan Robinson, even though he had really attempted to shoot the ball. But those guys, even with Kyle Lowry out, has come in and filled that void that, really don't miss him too much. So, it's kind of like a real blessing that, yeah, Lowry's out, but credit to them, they built up these other guys behind them to kind of ease out the load so they had to be so dependent on him. Because remember, Kyle Lowry's about mid-30s, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
So, we always got to keep that in mind. I remember that dude playing college ball while I was in middle school with that four-guard lineup in Villanova with Jay Wright. So, yeah, he's been around for a hot minute.
Yeah. It's just that the Heat are very loaded. They're going to be a tough team to beat. A very tough team to beat.
So, we'll keep an eye on this game. Right now, Miami's up 60-46 with 9:25 going left in the third. But D-Luck was turning our attention to yesterday. Nets, Celtics. I know every game's happened yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. We know that. We know the Raptors beat the Sixers yesterday. The Jazz barely won their game against the Mavericks even with Luka's return. They won by 1. The Timberwolves beat the Grizzlies 119 and 118 to make that series 2-2. And by the way, D, before we get going, what's up all these people, these females run to the court in Minnesota? What's going on with that?
That's a little different thing in Minnesota, man.
Allegedly, I saw somewhere that's saying like the owner of the team, he owns some big old chicken plant or something like that, and he killed a whole bunch of chickens. And I guess this like the people's way of protesting, just burning the court or handcuffing themselves on the goal and stuff like that. But shout out to that security guard that tackled, that lady last night. Like, he was ready for her.
Man, listen, those security guards be ready for an opportunity just to throw somebody down like that. We've seen it in all sports. You try to get on the court or field or anything, they coming at you with their shoulder down.
So, ladies, y'all, I know y'all don't like meat and stuff like that, animal cruelty, but I mean, there's other ways to do it instead of run onto a basketball court. Hell, if you're gonna do that, at least have a sign or something. But anyways, The Nets and Celtics. A couple years ago, D-Lock, or a year or so ago, we talked about this Nets team. We talked about Steve Nash being hired. We talked about this on this very program. And we read an article that the two-star players, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, stating when they hired one Steve Nash, we really don't need a coach to succeed. And we discussed that heavily on this show, saying that it could come around and bite them in the butt sometime down the line. Now we kind of fast forward now, D-Lock. Here on April 24th of 2022, the Nets are down 3-0 to the Boston Celtics. A team, I think we kind of seen their potential being fulfilled by Coach Yukota. What are your thoughts of the game yesterday? And can they squeak out a win Monday against this Celtics team, or is it done in your eyes?
Well, I'll start off the opposite way. I'll start off by saying I believe that the Nets are going to win Game 4. I just don't. To see two players like a Kyrie and KD be on the same team and get it swept, I just think that is, in my mind right now, that's very unlikely. Against anybody, they should at least win one game. So I'll say that now. I feel like they're going to win a Game 4, force a Game 5. But on to yesterday's game, Boston came ready to play. They came ready to play. And it came out very early. Now, for me, I'm thinking, okay, this is the first game in Brooklyn. KD has had two rough games. Kyrie has had his, welcome back Boston game. And I was expecting KD just to go off. I just felt like when you're down to, you're one of the players, one of the greatest players of all time. Like, he's going to be the player to watch out for that's going to do what we've seen other great players do in the past. The person that led in shots on his team yesterday was Bruce Brown.
Yep.
That alone should tell you that there's something that is not right in Brooklyn. Bruce Brown, you got Kyrie Irving and you got Kevin Durant on your team, and the person that leads in shots is Bruce Brown. Now, granted, 10 for 19, 26 points, cool. But to lead in shots, something is wrong with that. You tell me that stat, I would tell you myself that Kevin Durant they definitely had to lose this game. Because there's no way in hell that you got these two players on this team and neither one of them are shooting the ball more than Bruce Brown in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant, 6 for 11. 2 for 3 of the 3-point land. He only finishes with 16 points. Now, granted, I always get the Boston coach. It's hard for me to pronounce his name. Granted, he knows more about Kevin Durant. He was with him when they won the Olympics. I believe he was in Brooklyn at one point.
Yep.
Understand. But Kevin Durant is supposed to be one of the greatest players that we've seen on the court. Now, granted, we go back to the days. I've just been recently watching The Last Dance. I'm not sure when the last time you've seen it. But I'm remember now recently looking at what Jordan was doing prior to getting the Scottie Pippen, adding a Dennis Rodman. He struggled. But we're talking about having Kevin Durant and having a Kyrie who made a game-winning shot against the Warriors with Cleveland with LeBron. So you got the players here. Remember, like these guys said, they don't need a coach. The past couple games, Bruce Brown has played exceptionally well. Drummond has played exceptionally well. Dragic, who, for all you guys and ladies that had him in y'all FanDuel lineup that night when he had that ridiculous game, congratulations. I hope you built the rest of your lineup to win. He has had a hell of a game. So these other players around him are playing at their best, is what I'm saying, or what they can do. Hell, some of them even more. But what happens is your two-star players are not doing their job. Kyrie 6 for 17, 0 for 7. For me, and I believe what Kyrie said in his conference or his post game, you can't make up for missed games in October.
Go ahead. I gotta get on him on that. Go ahead.
So, and I take it as an athlete myself. In track, if you step on the track, we don't care about what has happened in the past. If I line up with somebody that steps on the track, it's me against you. I don't care what you did off the track. I don't know what happened months ago. I'm trying to win the race just as bad as you are. So if you missed, and I say that to say this, it doesn't matter how many damn games you missed or what you've done since October. That doesn't matter anymore. The job still has to get done. So to say, well, I can't make up for games or it's hard to make up time since October, that's an excuse. That is an excuse. If you step on the court, have to get it done. So at this point, I'm not rocking with that. So these guys, they have to get it together because remember now what they said in the beginning, I keep going back to it. They put their foot in their mouth. They the one that said or agreed to have that podcast saying that they don't need a coach. That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say stuff like that, you got to back that shit up. Like, granted, Boston has a defensive player of the year. They got Jason Tatum. They got a lot of defenders. But y'all supposed to be Kyrie and KD. Remember, y'all supposed to be boys. This is supposed to be something that y'all collab with. Especially when you got other players like a Bruce Brown, like a Goran Dragic, a little bit like a Patty Mills, who I think he had a decent game. Probably his best game in the series, the last game. When these guys come up and step up and do their job, two of the best players on the team, not only that, but probably top 10 in the league, y'all gotta play better. It doesn't matter what kind of defense that they're throwing at you. So for me, because you remember, this is the same crap that they gave up when anytime LeBron has an issue with, they say, well, LeBron is this, that, and the third. This is the kind of stuff that LeBron deals with on a yearly basis. So to be considered great as KD is, this comes with that price. So for me, it's been a disappointing season for Brooklyn. If you get put out, I don't care if it's 3-1, or I don't care if it's 4-1, 4-0, hell, even 4-2. You get put out, this is a disappointing season. There's no way in hell this team should get put out the first round. I don't give a damn who they play the first round. Because remember what they said, you don't need a coach. So if you don't need a coach, then it's on you guys.
To Kyrie's comments, that's well said. That's very well said. What you just said right there is well said. To Kyrie's comments after that post-game presser, look, I'm one of those people that if you don't get vaccinated, I ain't one of those people that we seen online trying to vilify you and all that stuff. I'm really not. You know, but in the same breath, I ain't one of these deniers saying it ain't real, or if I get sick, it's just like the flu. I'm not saying that either. You know, if you get through it, hey, awesome. But don't say it's not really nothing happening, and then you get it, and then your talking point is mutant point. Don't say that. The time he said, like, you can't make up the time and stuff like that. My man, Kyrie. I understand that you didn't want to get vaccinated. That's fine. But in the same breath, once you take that personal stance, that's what happens, dog. And then on top of that, you play in New York, and they got their own set of rules up there. So we didn't really see you until the new mayor really took in office. Let's be real about that, ladies and gentlemen. If New York had a different mayor, who knows what things would happen. So that's that. Bruce Brown played great. On one that really came ready to play. Drummond didn't have his best game that last game. I don't know what Steve Nash is thinking offensive, like creativity wise, because you can't just go ISO with these guys on Boston. You cannot. You gotta get some ball movement. You gotta get some screen set and whatnot to get some open looks. But you can't just hope that Kyrie and KD can just, go out there and just score buckets. I mean, yes, they can. We've seen it over the years. But you can't expect those guys to do that against this group here. You cannot. That's damn coaching suicide there. And I think Coach Yokota knows that, being on that staff last year. So let's not forget about that, like you brought up. And then them, kind of like the Lakers, banking on these veterans to kind of do things, and then you're not playing these veterans. LaMarcus Aldridge, not playing. Blake Griffin, not playing. Only one you really playing is Dragic, and then you kind of hokey about his playing time. Always about this team, D-Lock, is playing the young guys. Get Claxton going. Cam Thomas. Sharp. Get those guys minutes and stuff like that. So come time for playoffs time, you could depend on them.
Right.
Like Claxton and Sharp can help out defensively down low. They're long, they're lean, they're athletic. They got some length to them. Mm-hmm. You can do things with that. Cam Thomas, another scoring, a guy that should be off your bench, at least be your first option scoring off the bench. Guy was a leading scorer in the SEC for a reason.
Didn't we talk about that when they drafted him?
We talked about it when we drafted. We talked about that. You don't have to thrust him like in the starting lineup and nothing like that, but give him some good minutes. And so in time, in a situation like this, when you're playing a very good defensive team, he can help you out. He can get you out of scoring jams. If KD and Kyrie are getting double teamed and stuff like that, boom, there's a Cam Thomas open. Or he can swing it out to a Steph Curry that's open. But you got your space in there. You open up your offense a little bit better. You got Boston spread out more defensively. So you got those guys just tied up in one-on-one matchups. If they're going to come on helping double team, well, boom. I'll try to wrap this up quickly. Boom. You got Cam Thomas, Steph Curry open. Or maybe a Kyrie will slip open. That's just kind of this basic basketball that I really don't understand how these coaches really don't think like that. And let me get to Ben Simmons real quick. people, I seen a lot of people upset with him not playing, he be in uniform come game 4. Y'all shouldn't be surprised by that. Dude hasn't played all year. Dude, I don't know what the hell he did. From the time the 0-0 clicked in Philly against Atlanta, we don't know what the hell he did. In that time up to now, to get back into basketball shape or at least physical shape to play for this team or any team he got traded to or even the Sixers. Now, if he could came back, would he make a difference? I don't think, hell no. No, he will not. And this is why I tweeted from the account, the Fast Break account, not too long ago. Do not bring this dude back at any point this season. Now, some of y'all probably listen to this and saying, why you say that, Davidson? Well, because you're not going to salvage anything. Ben Simmons ain't that type of beaming light. If he comes back, it'll bring everybody's spirits up. He's not that type of dude. You sit him out. You tell him, hey, come September on the first day of training camp, your ass better be ready. Means health-wise, mental-wise. If you don't like our team doctors, physical or mental, seek outside options. But come back ready to go come training camp, and then we'll have a clean slate ready to go. So, I don't know when this dude going to come back and play. I don't know what the hell he did to himself to have these back issues like that.
Right.
But for folks out there like Reggie Miller and whoever else to expect this dude to be up and ready to go come game 4, stop the malarkey.
And Reggie Miller should know that. He should know that stuff. J.J. Redick and all these guys should know that. This is what I mean by. This is the reason why they're hiring these different shows. They should know this stuff because they're supposed to be putting in how a player is thinking or how a player is thinking. They should know this stuff, man.
I mean, we'll leave it on that note, but you saying the Nets will win Game 4?
Yeah, man. In my mind right now, dude, you got Kyrie and Katie. There's no way in hell that they lose at home and get swept. If they get swept, dude, it's more than they need to do this offseason. I don't have time to be waiting, be trying to figure out, okay, well, we need another year and all this other shit. They need to figure out something because, dude, you got Kyrie and Katie on your team. This is what we're gonna see. Remember what I said? I know we're going a little bit, but what did I say when this roster first came together?
You loved it.
I said this is one of the most talented rosters I've ever seen. No matter who's in the peak of their career or not. If you look at this roster from top to bottom, this is before they even got James Harden. I'm like, this roster is talented. So you telling me you can't at least get you a win out of the first round? Nah. They have to get one. It just final stat for me. I see Kevin Durant going probably 40 plus, 10 boards. He probably have a triple double. Kyrie will probably have about 25 and 7. Probably 4 or 5 assists, or 4 or 5 rebounds. I'm sorry, but they're gonna win on Game 4. I don't see them not doing that.
Well, before we go out, I think Boston completes the sweep. I think Durant he'll have a good game, but I think Kyrie, if things don't go right after the first quarter, he's going to zone out. And I think, Jaylen Brown's going to have a big game along with Marcus Smart to kind of put the fork in him. But real quick, D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. The draft is also coming up for the NFL, so I'll definitely be talking about that. I thought the Buck season was going to be bad, but Tom Brady did a little April Fool joke on us a little bit earlier, but I'll take it. So definitely find me there. Also, I will be tweeting this soon. Quick note, FGA got passed by Orlando Magic from Obama. And we see what FGA is doing. So, but yeah, Black Dash ain't what you can find me at. Let them know where they can find you.
You find me at Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288 on Twitter. Follow the show on Twitter also, Fastbreak IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Also, do follow IE Sports Radio on Twitter. Also go to the website, check out the gift shop, and check out all the shows on our network. We're growing and expanding each and every day. So tune into iSportsRadio.com for all your updates on that. And also, NFL Draft Contest. Draft coming up. I know NFL chatter is still happening. Debo might get traded. I know your mock drafts might get messed up, but still, get those mock drafts in to Mike Pat. Find him on Twitter. Let's whine about DC Sports. Send your mock drafts to him so you can be entered the contest and win a free shirt or a hat of your choice. But tune in, ladies and gentlemen. We're out. We'll talk to y'all next week.